The film opens quietly as a man named Adam Clay, played by Jason Statham, tends to the bees he keeps in his small, secluded home. Clay lives a simple life, spending his days caring for the hives and producing honey. He rents his space from Eloise Parker, a retired schoolteacher who owns the property. Despite living alone, Eloise and Clay have become good friends. She looks after him in her own way, and Clay often tells her that she's the only person who ever truly cared for him. One afternoon, Eloise sits at her computer and receives a pop-up warning about a supposed virus on her system. The message gives her a phone number to call for help. Trusting it, she dials the number, unknowingly connecting herself to a phishing scam operation called United Data Group. On the other end of the line is Mickey Garnett, the smooth-talking head of the scam center. Surrounded by a room full of laughing con artists, Mickey pretends to guide Eloise through fixing her computer. He convinces her to install what he claims is antivirus software, but it's really a link to all her financial accounts, including more than $2 million she manages for various charities. Within minutes, the scammers drain every account. The money is gone. When Eloise realizes what has happened, her face fills with disbelief and despair. Meanwhile, Mickey and his team cheer and celebrate, proud of their easy score. Later that evening, Clay goes to Eloise's house after she invited him for dinner. He carries a small gift, a jar of his fresh honey. But when he arrives, the door is slightly open. Clay steps inside cautiously, gripping a knife as he calls out her name. The house is silent. Moments later, FBI agent Verona Parker, Eloise's daughter, arrives at the same time. Together, they make a horrifying discovery. Eloise is dead, with a gunshot wound to her head. A loaded pistol and a spent bullet are on the floor beside her. Verona, in shock and anger, immediately assumes that Clay murdered her mother and has him arrested on the spot. But after the investigation, the truth comes out. It wasn't murder. It was suicide. Eloise took her own life, broken by the realization that she had lost everything she had built. Verona, filled with guilt, apologizes to Clay for the false accusation. She learns from him just how close her mother and Clay had become, how much they had cared for one another before her death. Clay contacts his former organization, the Beekeepers, to find information on the people responsible for scamming Eloise. Following the lead, he locates the United Data Group call center, the base of operations for the phishing scam. Arriving at the building, Clay is confronted by two guards outside. They search him and find he is carrying 2 gas containers. Before they can act, Clay beats them both down with brutal precision. He then storms into the call center. Inside, he grabs one of the scammers and beats him mercilessly in front of the others, sending a clear message that he is not there to play games. The terrified employees flee the building as Clay takes control. Moments later, Mickey Garnett arrives and orders his security team to handle the situation. Clay swiftly destroys every guard who comes at him. After clearing the room, he begins dousing the entire call center with gasoline, rigging it with explosives. He leaves behind a bomb that will detonate the next time someone responds to one of their scam ads. Seconds after Clay walks away, the next victim clicks a link, triggering the explosion. The entire call center goes up in flames. Meanwhile, Agent Verona Parker and her partner Matt Wiley arrive to investigate the arson. Verona immediately suspects that Clay is involved, while the FBI begins gathering evidence from the destroyed site. At the same time, Garnett, injured but alive, contacts his boss, Derek Danforth, Josh Hutcherson, the powerful head of Danforth Enterprises, a private security company that secretly oversees UG's data mining and fraud operations. Garnett explains to Derek what Clay did, prompting Derek to order him and a team of armed men to find and eliminate Clay. The goons track Clay to Eloise's home and follow him into his garage. But Clay is ready. He ambushes and kills the first 3 men in quick succession using brutal hand-to-hand combat and improvised weapons. He then captures Garnett, severs his fingers with a bandsaw, and throws him into the back of a pickup truck. As Derek listens on the other end of the phone, Clay straps Garnett to the wheel of another truck, places a brick on the accelerator, and sends the truck crashing off a bridge into the river. Garnett drowns as Clay delivers a warning over the phone he's coming for Derek next. Realizing the threat, Derek turns to his company's chief of security, Wallace Westwild, Jeremy Irons, to uncover who this man really is. When Wallace learns that Clay is a former beekeeper, his face drops. He tells Derek plainly, "You've just pissed off the wrong kind of man." Wallace immediately contacts Derek's mother, President Jessica Danforth, Gemma Redgrave, warning her that her son is in grave danger. The president pleads with Wallace to keep him safe. Wallace then reaches out to CIA Director Janet Howard, Minnie Driver, explaining that Clay, a rogue beekeeper, is now a national threat. Together, they contact the beekeepers themselves to place a bounty on Adam Clay, marking him for termination by his own organization. At a gas station, Adam Clay is refueling when he's suddenly ambushed by his replacement beekeeper, Anisette Landers, Megan Liu. Without warning, she tries to ram her car straight into him, then jumps out and opens fire with her pistol. Clay dodges every shot and charges at her, forcing her into close combat. Realizing she's outmatched, Anisette pulls out a massive machine gun and sprays bullets across the station. Clay uses the environment to his advantage, sliding behind cover, timing her reloads, and closing in fast. As she fires wildly and misses, Clay hurls a jar of honey that shatters on her, then ignites it, setting her ablaze. She burns to death as Clay watches silently. He then cuts off her index finger, taking it with him as a key. Back at headquarters, Janet Howard informs Wallace Westwild of Anisette's death. The Beekeepers' Council decides to remain neutral, unwilling to intervene in what is quickly becoming an internal war. Meanwhile, Agent Verona Parker and her partner Matt Wiley continue piecing together the chain of violent events. Verona begins to suspect that Clay, her mother's old friend, is at the center of everything. Wallace gathers a special operations team and briefs them on the nature of the Beekeepers, a covert organization designed to protect the hive and rectify corruption wherever it festers. He warns them that Clay, a former top operative, is capable of extraordinary violence and is now working alone with a personal vendetta. Wallace sends his men to intercept Clay before he reaches 9 Point Center, the hub of Derek Danforth's fraudulent empire, using Anisette's severed finger. Clay bypasses security at a beekeeper database and retrieves the coordinates of the 9 Point Center, one of Derek's main call operations. Fully armed and prepared, Clay sets off for the final strike. At the same time, Deputy Director Prig Don Gillet funds an FBI response team to raid the 9 Points building, but Wallace's mercenary squad, led by Pettis, Michael Epp, arrives first. Pettis orders all employees to evacuate before Clay shows up. When Clay finally enters, he annihilates Pettis's men in a violent brawl, breaking bones, slamming heads into desks, and using the environment as weapons. He eventually overpowers Pettis himself after a brutal fight and knocks him out cold. As he continues through the building, Clay kills an entire elevator full of armed guards, moving toward the top floor. Verona and Wiley arrive just in time to see the aftermath: bullet holes, broken bodies, and Clay's relentless path of destruction. Clay captures the manager of the call center and brutally interrogates him. Driving staples into his hands until the man gives up the truth, Derek Danforth is behind everything. Verona confronts Clay, trying to talk him down, urging him to stop before more blood is spilled. But Clay refuses. He tells her that the hive is poisoned, and he's the only one who can cleanse it. After Clay disappears from the scene, Verona and Wiley uncover solid evidence linking Derek to the entire operation. finally confirming his role as the mastermind behind the scams that destroyed Eloise and countless others. After Wallace learns that Clay has escaped yet again, he realizes things are spinning out of control. He warns Derek Danforth that Clay won't stop until everyone involved in the scam is dead. Wallace urges Derek to go into hiding, specifically to his mother's beachside mansion, where the Secret Service can protect him. Derek reluctantly agrees and heads there for safety. Meanwhile, FBI agents Verona Parker and Matt Wiley debrief with Deputy Director Prigg. They piece together Clay's pattern and come to a chilling conclusion. Clay isn't just targeting scammers. He's going after Jessica Danforth, the President of the United States. Verona explains that Clay may see Jessica as the Queenslayer, the corrupt monarch at the top of the hive, especially after uncovering evidence that she bankrolled her own campaign with stolen funds laundered through Derek's fake charities. Prigg, alarmed and desperate, gives them a blank check, ordering them to stop Clay by any means necessary. That evening, a lavish party is underway at Jessica's mansion. Secret Service agents, government officials, and guests mingle, unaware that a storm is about to hit. Clay infiltrates the mansion, disguised as a Secret Service agent, moving silently among the guards. Inside, Wallace and Derek prepare for Clay's arrival. They've fortified the property with a team of mercenaries, including a hulking enforcer named Lazarus, Taylor James, a man who once killed a beekeeper, though it cost him his leg. Upstairs, Jessica Danforth and Derek meet with Prigg, who demands answers about UG. The truth comes out. Derek used stolen money from the scam network to fund his mother's presidential campaign. The revelation hits Jessica hard. Her guilt and denial crumble in front of everyone. Outside, Verona, Wiley, and Lazarus spot Clay moving through the shadows. Before they can react, Clay detonates an explosive, triggering chaos across the property. Sirens blare, people scream, and the mansion is thrown into panic. Clay moves through the smoke like a ghost, taking down guards one by one with precise, brutal efficiency. As Prigg processes the truth about Derek's crimes, his disgust turns to fury, but before he can act, Derek shoots him dead, silencing him permanently. Moments later, Clay bursts into the mansion and Lazarus confronts him. The two engage in a vicious, bone-crunching fight, fists slamming into marble, furniture splintering, and blood staining the floor. Lazarus fights with raw strength, but Clay's precision and rage overwhelm him. In the end, Clay drives a blade into Lazarus's chest, killing him. Now nothing stands between Clay and the Danforths. He storms into the room where Jessica and Derek are arguing. Jessica, finally broken, tells Derek she's going to confess everything. Derek panics and aims his gun at his own mother, choosing to protect his empire at any cost. But before he can pull the trigger, Clay fires first, a single, clean shot that blows Derek's brains out right in front of Jessica. The room falls silent. Jessica collapses beside her son's body, screaming as the Secret Service rushes in to pull her away. Clay, without hesitation, dives through the window and escapes into the night. Outside, Verona catches sight of him, the man who avenged her mother and exposed a government built on corruption. She raises her gun but slowly lowers it. Deep down, she knows it's over. Justice has been served, even if not by the book. As agents swarm the property searching for him, Clay finds a hidden scuba kit, slips into the ocean, and disappears beneath the waves, vanishing like a shadow. The final shot lingers on the dawn sky over the water. A single bee drifts across the horizon, a quiet symbol of balance restored, and the beekeeper's work complete.